I am Major Rubaramira Ruranga, ROV 192. I work with Operation Wealth Creation as Director of Health and Community Outreaches Campaign. I have been in the Army for a long time. I retired about 20 years ago. So I'm now not called a retired person. I'm called a resistance officer veteran. I finished retirement. In fact, I'm even paid a salary like any other person, not like in the past before I completed 15 years. I was a very unfortunate person, I think, first of all, because of my last history, having been a newsreader on both radio and television, and having been a little bit political, I used to get too many attacks. That was one. But for me, already around early 1980, I felt that we needed a change. Idi Amin was not a man that you would imagine leading people. A man who wakes up in the morning and say, Indians go, and they must go, without even looking at the economic consequences. I kept thinking that we definitely needed a change. In fact, I remember one time after elections when I met our president and Honorable Rugunda, and I was saying, what are we waiting for here, for us here? Because remember, President Museveni had declared that should the votes be rigged, he was going to go to the bush. And that already had happened anyway. So for me, I already had a feeling that Uganda needed a new change. There were many difficult moments, but I think for me the biggest one I noticed was that there was no food. There's no way you can fight when you have not eaten anything. We were not cultivating, we were not getting any money. There we are. Sometimes you would live a day or two without anything to eat. For me, and then the illnesses. I have a tendency to be concerned about health. The situation for health was not very guaranteed, it was not promising. So those were two, which are really similar, nutrition and health. Because we had gone there to fight, and fighting is not supposed to be an easy business, but that we had no food, that there was no possibility for health attention, I think those were the things I personally worried about. I think the training that Museveni had given us, resilience, determination, discipline, and having love for your own country. I think that's what I kept thinking about. Why did you think about coming here? I was lucky because I had already done military training in Cuba. And you know, Cuba is that country that went through a revolution. And I knew many times you don't look as the mechanism of winning a war coming out of your planning. Perhaps the end of war tells you what exactly happened, and you can justify it. I think the Army has done a lot of unbelievable progress. The Army has grown. When I talk from my standpoint of view, having lived in the bush for all the 5 years, and then when we came back, what we found, and the kind of life the soldiers were living, even the amount of money they were paid has completely changed. I'm more impressed with the health insurance. I recently had a very bad situation. I had 10 spine surgeries, 10, about 7 months ago. But had it not be that family that UPDF has, I don't know whether I would be alive today. And so there's a lot of progress, there's a lot of education. We need to go back, though, to what we learned in the bush of being disciplined, being loyal, and addressing not only issues of Uganda, but looking broader at the situation of East Africa and maybe Africa as a whole. An amazing man. He is intelligent, he is patient, he knows about things that are going to happen. He plans ahead of every other person. But one of the biggest things that I have found in him is patience and being forgiving. He does not hold a grudge with anyone. He takes things at his own pace, but he actually, I think, one of the few men I would have read about in history. I also can tell you that I think he's the bravest man I have ever seen, not only in military, but also in facing realities of the world. For example, when AIDS became a problem in the world, he was the first one to admit that we had a problem of AIDS in Uganda and that we needed help. Despite all the things that they had told him about losing tourism and all that, he did not fear that. And he made it happen. I think the UNAIDS that there is now is a copycat of Uganda AIDS Commission. And I remember one time I was even assigned to go to Geneva to sit with other people to start looking at how UNAIDS could be formed, but all basing on what Uganda AIDS Commission does. And all that was the wisdom of His Excellency, our President. General Museveni is a very serious man. For example, anything that had to do with the mistreatment of the Wananchi, anybody involved in that, President Museveni would not even hesitate in taking him to the firing squad. He completely did not want anybody to mistreat the Wananchi. I also one time got a little bit unhappy, and in fact, I absconded from the army and joined FDC. And I was there for about 12 years. I was the chief electoral commissioner for FDC. My disagreement was about HIV, because there was a time when they call it relief, reducing soldiers, and they reduced, as it were, people who were HIV positive. I was working for Joint Clinical Research Center. I am trained in psychology and counseling, so I was the one who was giving results to these people. And everybody that came were HIV reactive. These guys were busy, happy, carrying many things, big radios, mattresses, they are going. But for me, because I already had HIV and I had already opened about it, I was saying, where are these guys going? And it so upset me, and I think I failed to get communication to His Excellency, and therefore I took a decision that eventually I regretted, but I definitely did not have the possibility of being helped to understand, and the belief that I remained with was these people did not understand what HIV was. So yes, I got angry and I misbehaved, and I was punished for that matter. But again, that he was doing for the good of the country. That's one thing that one needed to know, but sometimes we quickly become selfish and judge wrongly. I think Tahesa is a weapon of information and education that the UPDF needs. And I hope it will be an opportunity for us in Kigezi to recognize all the people who sacrificed to the struggle. There are so many, both soldiers and civilians. I also come from Kigezi, so this is a great moment for Kigezi also to show that they actually participated and participated very genuinely in the fight and liberation of this country. I want our people to learn to listen and to grow mature. The kind of peace that we're enjoying in this country has never been before. I'm 77 years old, which means I was there even before independence. And I can assure you, there has never been a time when a Ugandan is so liberated, that there is a government that considers the smallest person in this country. For example, parish development model is a result of maybe something that is said in the Bible in Galatians chapter 2, verse 10, that never forget the poor. This is amazing, and I don't think there has been a president in this country that had that focus of helping the ordinary people, the people who normally don't participate in the money economy of the country, like His Excellency has done.